Well, welcome to this month's edition of Dr. Aruna Katoch's webinars as she conducts these conversations on Ayurvedic medicine and its implications for our life. This month's topic is like father, like son, how diet can leave a legacy on your DNA. And I think we're all fascinated to hear more. And so, Dr. Katoch, this is your forum, and we look forward to learning from you now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tom, and I welcome all of you for today's session. And this session is different from the previous session, but not very much different, because here also we are talking about the food and its impact on us. In the previous sessions, we talked more about that how the choices and how the metabolism inside us is going to affect our health. But now we are taking it to a little more extended version that is those effects are limited to you only, or it is going somewhere else. So let's dive deep into this session today. And I just want to give a disclaimer here that this webinar is only for the information and education purpose, and this is based on Ayurvedic principle, and this is not any personalized advice for anyone. So before getting into today's session, I just want to have a little view that what we have collected from the previous webinars. And I just want to have your feedback on this poll. You just need to say what is right from your perspective. And depending upon the understanding from the previous, I'll dive into today's presentation. So the poll is here. Can you see the questions on your screen?
Yes, we can.
Oh, thank you. And just in a minute, you can read and you can answer these questions. So what do you think about these? So can we see the results of the poll now?
No.
Okay, okay.
Now I do.
Yes. So somehow I'm not able to see the results on my end.
Let me read them out for you, Doctor.
Yes, please.
On the
Thank you.
first question, how often do you consciously consider your dietary choices? 1% said always. 20% said always. 60% said sometimes, and 20% said rarely. The second question, according to Ayurveda, what role does diet play in overall health. 100% of your participants said uh, 100%. You said diet influences physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. And then finally, do you believe that your family's dietary habits have had an impact on your health? 80% said, I strongly believe so. And 20% said, I'm not sure. So there's a lot of room for learning and growing today.
Thank you, Mr. Tom. Thank you. And I'm glad that the previous sessions have included that there is a strong connection between the diet and how it is going to affect our whole lifespan after that. Like, you know, because in the previous years, sometimes we are affected by the people around us, or we have certain things which we need to follow in a family. But there comes a time in your 20s when you become everything on your own, and you start taking decision for yourself, and that is the time when you can make your own decision. It doesn't matter those are conscious decisions or they are on a default mode, like the ringtone of your phone. So it is affecting your life. So let's go deep into today's presentation. And I have divided this presentation into different sections where we talk about what is the family connection and what is this epigenetic puzzle and what actually this word means, and what are the factors which go to that level that it transfer to the next generation and then to the generations coming after that. And then, very important, how to break this cycle and certain awareness which can turn to the action if you are being aware about that. And yes, I'm very excited. In today's session, I have 2 announcements to make, and we will see when we reach there. So let's first talk about the family and food connection. So we all know that food is something which comes along with the family we belong, right? So we cannot deny the link between the family and how the eating style is in the family, and then how it goes from generation to generation. It doesn't matter that we are in the same country where we belong or where our ancestors were, or we are in a different country. But the eating style is something which goes on within the family, irrespective of our geographical location. So the factors which affects in the family, one which is very important is the genetic factor, and the other one is environmental and cultural factors. So let's go a little deep into this. So when we talk about the genetic factors, so how the nutrients is being metabolized in your body, how the appetite is being regulated in your body, or the metabolism of carbohydrate, fats, proteins, sugar, all these things are depending upon the genetic factor. And how we say that, because when we are born, there are certain things which we inherited as the genes. And there is another factor we inherit as the habit or the lifestyle, which was a major part of that family. And here I want to give a example that in studies, this has been shown that might be your immediate generation, like your parents, is non-vegetarian, but you choose to be vegan or vegetarian. So what are the things we need to keep in mind when we are talking about the genetic factor? So it has been seen that vitamins like vitamin B12, where the major source it comes from the animals. And in the generation where they are eating non-vegetarian diet on a prominent basis, they are getting their vitamin B12 from the animals. Whereas when you turn down yourself into vegetarian and you are the first generation, your body needs to decode the system because it has a certain memory and it's not able to take the B12 directly from the other sources. And that's how the importance of supplements come into the thing, that we should be mindful that what is our generational culture going on, so that instead of making the abrupt choices, we should opt for something which takes care of our health also, and at the same time our choices also. So this study is really prominent, that whenever the generation is making a big transition, especially in terms of a diet, so this is so important to consider about how the nutrients are going to be metabolized in your body. And we'll talk about all these factors in detail in the upcoming slides, that how the appetite, metabolism, and the taste or our like connection, that emotional connection with the food is always come from our family. And the other thing which is very important is the environmental and the cultural factor. Because when we talk about the cultural factor, the same ingredients can make n number of recipes. But the recipe depends upon what culture they belong to. Because when we talk about the culture, so it is always related with the origin of that particular family. So whether they were in the hot weather, whether they were in the cold weather, what kind of a climate there was, and that's how the wisdom of ancestors collect that what kind of a food is good for them, and what kind of a things can be added to the different part of the year which can keep them healthy. Because in that time, food was considered as the main source of energy. It was not like nowadays, like, nowadays, number of time we hear this, that have this supplement and it can replace your meal, right? So yes, it can be good or bad at one point, but we cannot forget that food is something which is the need of our body, and it is definitely a big part of our health. So yes, in one family, the food choices, because of the cultural and the environmental factor, they are very much similar. Their meal routines are very much similar, and the cultural practice, because if you see around every holiday or a festival, there is certain kind of a tradition. And that's how we unconsciously keep on inheriting that and keep on continuing that and passing that to next generation. So definitely the environmental and the cultural factor in passing on these things is big. And what is this epigenetic puzzle and what it has to do? So this is one thing which we explore, that is it the food is changing our DNA, or what is this doing, and how it is going to the next generation, where it is talking about that is it just the hereditary diseases, or it is more than that, or what is it? So let's go a little more into this. So when we talk about epigenetics, so this is the study of how our behaviors in the environment can cause the effect the way our genes work. So it is more about the gene expression towards that behavior. So do it affect the DNA? No, it do not change our DNA sequence, but it has the ability to change how our body reads the DNA sequence, right? And if I have to give an example here, so if you have been gone through the vision test, so what is there? There is a same board, there is a same alphabet, but depending upon our vision or the ability to see 6 by 6, we read or we see those alphabets without our lenses, if you wear the lenses, so in a different manner. So this is the ability to read. So this does not change when it comes down to its sequence, but the reading is changed, and that is how it is making a big impact on the coming generation. But the good part is these are reversible. And what are the factors, right? So we talk about the diet, we talk about the environment, things. So when we go deep down, because we talk about the diet, so diet is one factor and digestion is the other factor. But yes, digestion is also which runs in a family. Your behavior, what kind of a lifestyle you live in, that is very important. The pollutants in the environment, what kind of environment you live in, right? It can be your city environment, it can be your work environment, or then comes the psychological state or the emotional or mental health of yours. Yes, this also affects huge. And definitely, if you have a random shifts of working, it affects the circadian rhythm. And circadian rhythm is something which is compared with the biological clock or synchronicity with the universe is what is keeping us in certain patterns. So when we work in a different shift and it is other than the normal routine of day and night, yes, it do affects the epigenetics or our body for the long term. Let's start with the diet. Yes, what kind of choices we are making makes a huge impact because those are going to interact with the genes, right? Whenever we are eating something, so it always has a bioactive component or the main component. Like you might all have heard about the curcumin. Everybody talks about, like, how curcumin is one of the spices, but it has taken a big part of the medicinal field because of its multiple effects on the body, right from the smallest wound to the cancerous condition, and the bioactive component working in that is curcumin. So yes, the bioactive component is one inside the food which is going to regulate the epigenetics or the gene expression. And that's how the different nutrients have different effect. And when I gave you the example of vitamin B12 in the beginning, that how, like, when there is a big shift of food from the non-vegetarian to vegetarian or whatever the big shift in your diet is, your body has learned to decode the food you eat in a certain manner. Whenever you are introducing anything new to your body, for that particular part of the food is a foreign article. The foreign body again needs to take time to decode that material, and taking that time is what is going to affect the digestion. And when the next point is the nutritional pattern, this has been said that yes, there are hereditary diseases which goes from one generation to another generation, but the eating style is also which is being going from one to another. And sometimes certain cultures or the certain eating habits are hereditary. So that is how they're going to influence the nutritional quality of your diet. And the third factor, which is important in this category, is the food preferences, right? So food preferences are something which we learn from our childhood, and unconsciously we are taking it to our whole life. So I was looking on to YouTube Shorts, and there is one person who goes to different people and asks, like, if I have to cook one meal for you, what would that meal be? And people give different, whatever they like. But I have seen most of the people always choose the best of their childhood memory in terms of the food they used to like. So this is just a line when you're viewing something, but if you think on that little in a depth, that how those things are impacting your whole life, right? Are you starting your day with the sugar? Are you giving, the cereals in the morning, or are you starting your kids' diet with the fruits in a day? What kind of a food they are starting with, right? Because sometimes they don't know, but that becomes a pattern for them. So in kids, if you do certain thing for 4 to 5 days, that becomes a pattern for them, and they will ask for the same thing. Like in adult, this is usually said that if you have to make a diet, anything as a habit, you need to follow that at least for the 90 days. But this is not true in the very young kids. If you do something for a week, that becomes their routine. And here I want to start a story which will we going to compile with the end of the session, that this is how, like, my son starts the story. Once upon a time, there was a quiet village, and there lives two different families, a green family and a sweet family. So the green family dining table was a rainbow of fruit, veggies, whole fresh food, like the freshly cooked food, right? Whereas the sugary family, the sweet family, they were indulged in sugary treats, fast food, and the processed foods. So how the parents used to eat, the kids adopted the same lifestyle. And we'll continue with the story as we go ahead. And when it comes down to food and its impact on kids, most of the time, because in Ayurveda we talk a lot about, how the eating habits of the mother during the pregnancy going to affect the kids. And we don't talk about what comes from the father. Father is not carrying that kid for 9 months, and how its things are affecting. But yes, the health of the father is going to make a lot of difference. And the things has been said at the time of the conception. Because in Ayurveda, we say the quality of your food and digestion is going to decide the quality of the sperm and ovum. So if whatever your health status is, that is going to impact in these prominent chromosomal cells. So whatever is their health status, and this is a big study, if the parents' metabolic rate is high, the probabilities of diseases like obesity, cardiovascular disease, diabetic disease, and many more is much more in comparison to the parents, where the BMR and the other bodily factors are in normal range. So I just want to emphasize that sometimes we just say that this is the responsibility of mom to see what the kids are eating, but science has not denied that factor. It is not just what is coming from the womb, but it is coming from the time of conception, the quality of the health of the sperm and ovum. So, and then when the baby is born, what kind of a lifestyle the parents are living, what are their eating habits? What is their behavior towards the rest of the triggers around them? So this is very, very important whenever we are talking about transferring a legacy from one to other. And whenever we talk of diet, it is so important to talk about the digestion, because it does not matter how nutritious diet you are having. If your digestive system, your digestive fire, the quality of your digestion is not good, it will not lead to the healthy body. So we need to have a balance that whatever our digestive system is, we have to eat accordingly. And this we have discussed in one of the webinars where we talk about that how like different body constitution has different behavior or different qualities towards the digestion, and how why one needs to understand that what is their constitution and how their digestive system is going to work, and how to keep that in an optimal level to have the best digestion. Because you can see, like, digestion is comprised of very simple steps: chewing down and then churning and mixing, then turning into like the fine nutritious fluid which going to nourish the cells, whereas the waste product goes to the system. Everything is systematic, but we need to remember that this is a sequence, and missing every step is going to add up towards the illness, or the conditions in our body which we don't want in the future. So digestion plays a huge role. And whenever it comes to talking about like how Ayurveda talk about the prevention and then the curative aspect of disease, they always take up with the digestion, because this is the important procedure or a process where the outside food is converting into our body language. It is turning or completely becoming our body. So the process in between, if it is not on its optimal state, the outcome will be affected accordingly. And why I keep on emphasizing on these 4 stages, because you cannot mess with them. If you're not chewing properly, right? You're watching something, you're not having that mindfulness which is required during the eating, you're not chewing properly. So what? The mechanical part is being overloaded, because now it not only churns the food, it has to break down also, right? Now this not properly chewed, not properly break down, not properly mixed food reach to the chemical stage. Now secretions are pouring because you are hungry at that time, but you're just so fast, right? It's a digestion, it's our body which works in a certain manner. It is not the Fast and Furious movie. It is learning from your childhood that how you take up the things and what is the right way of eating. So this green family was more into having their food as a ritual in the family. They see this opportunity as how they can connect to each other at the emotional level, or sharing their thoughts, or sharing their day, or making the connection in the family. So that was helping with the digestion of those individual in the family. Whereas the sweet family, right, they considered having the mealtime as some some task in their timetable, in their schedule, like. And whenever somebody is coming, whenever they have a time, they used to pick the food, and then they used to like take away with them. They are driving, eating, there is nothing involved in that. They are talking on the phone, or they are watching the movie. So kids also develop the same thing. So so they never understood that, while we eat, there are certain things going on in our body, and we need to rest and slow down and let body take the charge of the digestion, and its attention is not diverted to the different parts of the body. right? So these two families' digestion has a different aspect because they have a different behavior or their culture in the family of eating the food. And when this digestion we are talking is not good, there are numerous conditions which arise. Definitely the digestive disorders, because if digestion is not good, so definitely the complication in the digestive system will come. But it will going to affect your gut microbiome. In gut biohealth, because nowadays when you talk about the gut, the thing which opens up is about the microbes and how what is the importance of having the prebiotic, the postbiotic, how it should be added in your food. But the thing is that those bacteria are going to live in the same environment, in the same media inside, if that medium, that environment which is created by the digestion is not appropriate, it doesn't matter how much you're pouring in, they are not going to survive because that environment is not friendly for those microbes, because they are said to have certain level of pH, certain level of that culture inside that part of the body. So yes, the gut biome is affected, but the working of your pre and postbiotic is also depending upon the quality of digestion, because it not only produces the nutritive uh, fluid for the body to get all nourishment reach to the cell, but it is also taking care of creating that environment inside the intestine where the healthy microbes can live and the unhealthy can be flushed out of our system. And definitely the nutritional absorption is being affected. And we talked about obesity, diabetes, and the cardiovascular disease, and many more, which comes under the umbrella of lifestyle syndrome. So if your digestion is not good, all these things are in the wait list, which is just waiting for the time when they reach to the point where they can come in and show up, right? And after diet and digestion, we talked the second important point is what is the lifestyle and the behavior. And here we are not talking about just the behavior with your food, but here we are talking about your response, right? How you handle that situation. Do you react to it or do you respond to that? Because the chemicals in your brain, which is taking care of all the hormone regulation, endocrine system in your body, they're also taking care of your emotions. So the effect of on emotions is inseparable, right? So when we are talking about how somebody is brought up in a family, we are always talking about the lifestyle and the behavior. And yes, the transgenerational epigenetic inheritance is very important when it comes down to onset, progression, and pathogenesis of any disease or disorder in the body. And if we have to relate with the digestive system, the biggest part which comes is an autoimmune disease. So if you're not taking care of your food and your digestion is not optimal or it is not even average, so the condition which one develop in the later part of the life is autoimmune disease, where your own body starts acting like an enemy to its own cells. And this is huge. And this also comes under the lifestyle pattern, and with the lifestyle we can work along with that. So this means that how somebody is going to respond to different diseases or different stages of disease is also depends upon their health, and it is again transgenerational. And yes, the family eating habit, the family physical activity, and how they love to entertain themselves, this is all which is very much depending upon the family. Sometimes this is seen that the kids have totally opposite choices than what they have when they were kids. But again, it is a different thing. But when we talk about the majority, yes, the lifestyles are usually just the replica of what they have seen. It might be improvised according to the era or the year what you are in, but they are pretty much similar. Now we want to talk about the very, very important factor, which is the environmental factor. So whatever toxins and pollutants we are exposed to, that is also going to affect our genetic expression towards that. And we talk about this, that mother's food during the pregnancy is what the baby is having, right? Baby cannot eat, baby cannot metabolize. So whatever nutrition mom is making, it has a direct effect on a body. And if mother is being exposed to the environment where there are various type of pollution, or let's say she works on a place where there is specific pollution, or you can say some kind of a occupational thing is there, the baby will be affected with that, and this is a no-brainer. The last component we want to talk here today is the psychological stress. So now this has been studied that the feeling of anger, stress, frustration, fear causes the DNA to become short and tighter. And that's how they read the sequence in a different way. This is not the change in DNA sequence, but how they read it. Whereas the feeling of gratitude, love, appreciation, they all cause the DNA to relax, and that's how they express themselves, right? And in studies, this has also been seen that if the mother is depressed or stressed a lot during the pregnancy, the kid is likely to have depression or some kind of emotional issue in that, or you can say like not the disease kind of a thing, but this has been said that, you know, if you are sad and crying in 9 months, you cannot make the happy baby. But the tendency of the baby falling into the lower realm of emotions is more than going towards the higher or the happier side of emotion. And habits are often learned in the family, right? Are they multitasker? Are they like not distributing their energy equally? Or whether they are able to manage the things doing one thing at one time, but doing it fast because they are putting their 100% into that one thing. So this is again what we see and what we learn. So how kids are watching you going to be the part of their life. So as we were talking about these two families, the green family and the sweet family, so we said that the food time, the meal time was a ritual in this green family, whereas the sweet take meal time as just the clock hitting the time when they need to put something inside their body. It has nothing to do with the hunger. It has nothing to do with anything else. Oh, it's 2 o'clock. This is my lunchtime. It's 7 o'clock. It's my dinner time. So you can say, like, what kind of an emotional or a mental state they are in when they are having a food. There is a green family who is totally relaxed, right? And they are happy because they are connecting with their loved one, the people they actually feel they take care of, and they're connecting where and creating those happy hormones and that relaxed state of the mind and body because they are sitting and having a food in a proper manner. The food is pleasant to the eyes, the voices are coming and they're laughing. So the digestion is different, right? Because it is a calm, peaceful environment. And on the other side, they're just picking up the food or taking it from any of the food outlets, and they're driving, eating, right? Thinking about their work at the same time. And they have no time to, their body has no time to go for the digestion. They're more in the head, right? They're thinking about something else, and brain has this habit, right? First it takes most of the nutrition, it doesn't depend rest of the body is getting, but brain need its supply. So when your brain is working, so it is taking all the circulation down and all the mechanism is trying to solve and work here, and food becomes secondary. Now food is not getting any kind of attention, it is not getting that kind of a excretion or the rhythm of the excretion which is required. So you can see, like, that the stress is building the indigestion, and then the indigestion is going back, which is creating the stress, and it is becoming a loop in which it takes an effort to come out of from that thing. Now just talk about, like, breaking the cycle. So is there any opportunity for the sweets to come down to a point where they start working towards their health so that, the coming generation is healthier? Because the patterns they were following, the greens were full of energy and vitality, and their green family tree is full of longevity, and it is bearing a fruit of well-being. Whereas the sweet family is struggling from various bodily conditions and recurrency of falling ill with the kids. And when we look on to the sweet family tree, so it has a fragile legacy, and they're grappling with the chronic diseases. So now let's see, is this sweet family has any kind of option where they can break a cycle and take a legacy which is stronger, healthier? Yes, this is there, because we talk about that this can be epigenetic conditions are reversible. And when we talk in Ayurveda, so there is a term which is always used, and the term is satamya. So what is this? This is a gradual adaptation to specific factors or substance in order to maintain your health and to prevent the diseases. And this is slow and steady. This is not very fast. So when we talk about the satamya, so satamya is in two ways. One is natural, which we gradually adapt accordingly. We move on in our life, like with the age, with the exposures, we develop this, our body develop this. And other one is artificial, and you can say acquired satamya, which you can do with introducing specific food or the herbs into your diet and eliminating what is not supporting your health. And when we talk about this acquired satamya, so there are different types of that. Number one is desh satamya, or the environmental compatibility. So this is how you should, there are certain steps that how you should go to the new environment, or when you change the location. You don't go directly, because everybody has their palette set as per their childhood, but there is a different need because of the new environmental condition. So it takes a time to develop a new palette, and that gives you an opportunity that what is good for your body in that location, in that environment. So that we can do. The second one is Kal Satamya, that is seasonal adaptation. And as I talk that every culture has a different recipes when it comes down to the various season, because the holidays, the festival, they are also very much aligned with the seasonal component to that. So we also need to go for the changes according to the season and what part of the day we are having. Here, I really want to give the example, which is curd, which is a very big part of most of people's diet. Curd, when you are taking in the morning, has a different effect, whereas when you are taking at night, this has a different effect. And in Ayurveda, the term used for curd is abhishyan. That means this is really heavy to digest. So that is the reason it should be avoided at night, because that is the time your body is going to relax. It's not moving, it's not working. So if you are doing the physical workout and your job profile is more into an active physical activities, so there you can add curd into the regular diet. But if you're more onto the sedentary life, you should be a little mindful about that. That is that food you are taking is supporting your health, or it's going in another way. And the third component of acquired satame is the patra satame. This is the individual suitability of substance. And this is when we are talking about introducing a new food or removing the previous one. And this is always done in a certain pattern. There is a ratio of moving from one to another. And that gives your body an opportunity to learn to decode this new food or the new herb or whatever you are introducing in your food, in your lifestyle, that learn to decode itself, and the processing time would come to the average and not it's very long. Satame is a very big part, but what is needed, we need to have a right attitude. We need to learn what is the right way to eat. And this is very, very big, because again, I'm saying food is a major part of our diet, right? So none of the supplements or anything on this world can replace the importance of food in our life. So how we need to eat the food. Food should be warm, right? It should be very presentable. And whenever you are eating, make it a ritual, like, at least have the plate and, whatever accessories you need, and don't eat right from the wrapper. It makes a lot of difference, right? When it comes down to mindful eating, the quantity should be appropriate to your hunger and to your body type. Always eat when you feel hungry. That means your previous meal is being digested and it is not overloading your system, right? And never be too hurried, like never eat too fast and never eat too slow, because again, it impacts the process of digestion. Never talk or laugh while eating, because that is the time when the choking and the different thing happens. And talking and laughing is when air is going out, and food is when air is going in. And when you mix these two, definitely the choking and the parallel incidence is going to happen. So you need to be mindful, and taking all these things in your mind and having those sensory pleasure or the mindfulness while you're eating, about the smell of the food, the texture of the food, the presentation of the food, So it will give you, not only give you the pleasure of that food, but it will add that gratitude to what you are eating and help your body to relax or the calm down, where it leads to, or it will follow the proper digestion in the future. The other thing we talked about is like, if you're not very much into like, the making everything to be proportionate, and you don't want to go into the apps to like do everything for you, and you want the easiest way that how you can make your food healthy today, just this principle is so optimal. Just divide the food into that meal into 3 parts. One part solid, another part liquid or the semi-liquid, and please leave the third part empty, because again, I'm saying if your mixer is fully loaded, it doesn't have the space to grind the churn. Not only it will come out of the jar, but at the same time, the outcome you're looking for, that consistency, that smoothness, it will not be there. And if you just want to give a little practical to your mind, just try doing this. Like, just fill your mixer with the food till the top, or whatever you're mixing till the top, and then try to grind, and then try keeping half empty or 1/3 empty, and then just see the difference. It is just the representation of what is going inside. And if your mind is too logical, try this, and this is the easiest way to eat the food. And Ayurveda, when it comes down to having a optimal digestion or moving towards the optimal digestion, in Ayurveda they talk about that how eating the food in a sequence of the taste is going to affect the digestion in future. The sweetness of the food, like adding appropriate amount of sweet in the beginning of the meal, is going to absorb that extra acid excretion in the stomach, which might lead to like the more acidic media in the body, and we just need that acid to break down. So if you're too hungry, start with the sweet. And even in normal time, if you start with the sweet, you feel you don't need to eat too much to satisfy your hunger. Continue it with the sour or salty, because it not only helps to break down the food, but it initiate the digestive system, or it ignites the digestive system and break down into the smaller pieces which is required for the digestion, and then end your food with the pungent, bitter, or astringent. And when we talk about the pungent taste, so pungent taste is the chilies you're having, the black pepper you're having, because they have the property to make those secretions really fast. And bitter comes from the bitter melon and, the parallel eating stuff in your food. Whereas the astringent is in cranberry, it is in ripened banana, it is in legumes. So these three tastes accelerate digestion. So this is how you start with slowing down and then taking the digestion to different level, where it is gradually increasing so that the digestion is optimal. Whereas if you reverse, and as nowadays we eat sweet in the end, so it is more like pouring like a water or something very thick on the fire, which definitely going to diminish that fire and will lead into the indigestion or the sequence which it follows after the bad digestion. So now let's see, because here I have written like the awareness to the action, right? The first step to anything is awareness. So you need to sit down and see, what you are eating. Is it supporting your health or it's not supporting your health? And then look for the groups, look for the people, look for the things which will help you to promote the healthier lifestyle in your body, in your day-to-day routine, and then share with your friends, right? So that when you're going with your friends, instead of teasing you or, uh, just making fun of the thing, they also realize the importance. And then rather than having sitting on a corner, you can enjoy the things together because you all now know why you're eating what you're eating. And definitely empowering parents and caregivers, you are definitely going to impact your kids and the future generations to come, because the empowering positive lifestyle changes is the only safeguard for the well-being of our future generation. And breaking the cycle is going to make a big difference if you have somewhat of a lifestyle close to the sweet family. And here I want to take an opportunity that I'm not just saying this, but come and join the healthy shopping tour, in which we are going to go in the local shop and we'll be shopping together, that, in terms of the season and in terms of what is required. So this is just for 1 hour. And here we can talk about, so I'm not just saying the thing, I'm taking an initiative for my community to come and join, and let's do it practical and not the theory only. And now let's conclude this whole session, that what we talked today. So we talked about the connection of dietary habits, the cultural influence, and how epigenetic factors within the family is going to affect that. And we did explore that how the various above said elements can shape our health and even has the long-lasting impact on the DNA, and how breaking the cycle and following the concept of satamya for shifting to a healthy lifestyle can make a huge difference, and what are the factors when we talk about the satamya. And yes, remember, a small step towards mindful eating and honoring our body's unique need can create a significant ripple effect that lasts beyond our own family time. So this is so important. Your small step can change the quality of the health in your upcoming generations. And with this, I would like to conclude the story we started, that how the green family end up into the point where they are bearing the fruits of longevity and well-being, whereas the sweet family was grappling with the chronic diseases. So the seed we sow in our plates today bloom into the health we reap tomorrow. Healthy choices echo across the generation, while unhealthy ones cast a shadow. Let's be mindful, and our plate hold the power to shape our family's future. And this is so important. A single step can make a huge difference in the generations to come. And with this, I would like to conclude, but I want to have the second announcement of today's webinar, that very, very soon we are coming with a 3-hour workshop where we are talking about the conscious conception, because we are aware about this, that we need to, we need to have certain kind of vitamins before we plan a baby. But as I said, most of the time only females take care of their health, and the male partner is always considered, okay, it's not much impacting, but it's not like that. There is a whole approach that the quality of sperm and the quality of the ovum is going to bring this new life and the whole life of that individual is depending upon your quality. And we need to understand that detoxification is so important, because the diseases which we see nowadays, which are more of the physiological diseases like autism and the parallel thing, and it's been seen in the studies that diet has a huge impact. And in those studies, they also have talked that how body takes an opportunity during the conception or having the baby bearing time to detoxify the mother's body toxins. So if we are doing the detoxification and we are getting prepared at the physical level, emotional level, mental level, preparing ourselves for that, and that's going to make a huge difference in the life of that individual. And this is the best investment you can give to your kid, rather than gifting the assets of your life, but the quality of your health is going to have a huge impact. So this is a great opportunity, and we'll definitely let you know about that. And all our social media platforms is going to have this information. And yes, I do offer 30 minutes free consultation if you would like to know where your digestion or health is. I'm there to help you, and you can contact me here. And with this, I want to take a pause and thank you so much, everyone, for the, you know, for attending everything and listening to me for the complete 1 hour. And now I would like to introduce the small poll here that what do you think you caught from this poll? Can you see this on your screen?
We see it, Dr. Katoch.
Yeah,
Would it be okay if I read the questions out loud?
Yes, please. And if everybody can take 1 minute and fill this survey, so it's going to give me a feedback that am I able to communicate what am I supposed to, what I was trying to do in this last 1 hour.
Epigenetic changes caused by a diet can, and the first answer would be only affect an individual's physical appearance or influence gene expression and health outcomes, or only affect an individual's mental health. Number two, which factors can contribute to the development of similar dietary habits within families? First answer, genetic factors only. Second, cultural factors only. Third, genetic, cultural, and environmental factors. Choose one. The third question, what is the concept of satmaya? Is that correct pronunciation? In Ayurveda,
Yes.
a type of meditation practice, a method of fasting, or compatibility with one's environment or natural surroundings. The fourth question is, epigenetic changes caused by diet are, first answer, permanent and cannot be reversed. Second, temporary and don't affect health. And finally, reversible and can influence health outcomes. And then the third question asks you the top 3 keywords or takeaways. And I believe you'll have to answer that in the chat box.
And if anybody wants to share the takeaways by unmuting themselves, it would be great. And if you have any questions, yes, we are here to answer the questions now.
Are you ready for the results of the poll?
Yes.
Dr. Aruna? Okay.
Yes.
We'll end the poll and I'll read the results. Everyone, it looks like, answered the same way, which tells me that you taught us well. Epigenetic changes in the diet can influence gene expression and health outcomes. Number two, the answer is genetic, cultural, and environmental factors. Number three, the answer is compatibility with one's environment or natural surroundings. Number four is reversible and can influence health outcomes. So,
yeah, I'm so happy.
You got your point across. So here we have some answers. Great job informing us, Dr. Katoch. Thank you, ma'am. Somebody thanked me for facilitating. Appreciate that. How about some of these takeaways that you have? Either you unmute yourself. I think you have the power to unmute yourself. Somebody give that a shot. We may have to unmute you. The host would know that. But if you want to type in a takeaway, that would just really solidify our learning experience and your learning experience today. Yeah.
Sorry, good morning. Hi, Dr. Katoch. You did really great job. The key away for me, the main point that I'm gonna, focus is like how our brain should be like a focus when we are eating. We should not be distracted by other things, so we can, have a proper digestion. I think that's one of the most important thing, that if we can do that, then other things, all the processing and all those, like for the food, I think they will, work better. So that's one of the things that I'm going to take away from you today. And thank you so much. It's a mind-blowing presentation. It's a lot of new things that we don't know, but that's you did a great job. Thank you. And thank you, Tom, for facilitating. You did a great job too. Thank you.
Just great.
Thank you, Jaspreet. Thank you.
I think Miriam was unmuting herself there for a moment.
Yes, I was. Thank you, Tom. And thank you, Doctor. I really learned about the digestive function there. It's not just the absorption. It's the digestion, absorption, and there were the two other categories that you had on the slide. What were those?
They were ingestion, then the chemical mixing, mechanical mixing, then the chemical mixing, and then comes the absorption in the intestines.
Got it. Thank you so much. Yes, I really didn't think of the mechanical, but yeah, very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Miriam. We appreciate that. Anyone else like to unmute and share something?
And even after the session, you have an opportunity to contact us via email, with which you get the invitation. If you have any queries later to this session, you're more than welcome, and I'll be happy to answer those queries.
I think the follow-up opportunities you've given, we really look forward to hearing more about the workshop. That is the first time that anybody will have to pay for anything, but it'll be reasonable and very much worth it. And then also the walk, the shopping walk, the wellness walk. What an exciting concept. And for those of you who are here in Fresno, that would be, or nearby or within driving distance. I mean, it'd almost be worth a plane flight to Fresno. We have a wonderful international airport, and that may be a stretch, but I think if you can get here, that will be a great event. All right. Anyone else have any? There's lots of feedback. Dr. Katoch will read all of that, and she really appreciates your appreciation. Any closing remarks, Aruna?
Yes, I would say if your family is a green family, I want to congratulate you, because this is a big achievement in today's time. And if you are a sweet family, would encourage and challenge you to take that first step where you are investing in the generations to come, and the generation will be proud of the legacy you left for them. And with this, I would like to say thank you, everyone, for your time. I really appreciate.
I would also say that Dr.